go to purpose first. All events, all experiences have as their purpose the creating of opportunity. Events and experiences are opportunities, nothing more, nothing less. It would be a mistake to judge them as works of the devil, punishments from God, rewards from heaven, or anything in between. They are simply events and experiences, things that happen. It is what we think of them, do about them, be in response to them that gives them meaning. Events and experiences are opportunities drawn to you, created by you individually or collectively through consciousness. Consciousness creates experience. You are attempting to raise your consciousness. You have drawn these opportunities to you in order that you might use them as tools in the creation and experiencing of who you are. Who you are is a being of higher consciousness than you are now exhibiting. Because it is my will that you should know and experience who you are, I allow you to draw to yourself whatever event or experience you choose to create in order to do that. Other players in the universal game join you from time to time, either as brief encounters, peripheral participants, temporary teammates, long-term interactors, relatives and family, dearly loved ones, or life path partners. These souls are drawn to you by you. You are drawn to them by them. It is a mutually creative experience expressing the choices and desires of both. No one comes to you by accident. There is no such thing as coincidence. Nothing occurs at random. Life is not a product of chance. Events, like people, are drawn to you, by you, for your own purposes. Larger planetary experiences and developments are the result of group consciousness. They are drawn to your group as a whole as a result of the choices and desires of the group as a whole.
What do you mean by the term, your group?
Group consciousness is something that is not widely understood, yet it is extremely powerful and can, if you're not careful, often overcome individual consciousness. You must always, therefore, endeavor to create group consciousness wherever you go and with whatever you do, if you wish your larger life experience on the planet to be harmonious. If you are in a group whose consciousness does not reflect your own, and you are unable at this time to effectively alter the group consciousness, it is wise to leave the group, or the group could lead you. It will go where it wants to go, regardless of where you want to go. If you cannot find a group whose consciousness matches your own, be the source of one. Others of like consciousness will be drawn to you. Individuals in smaller groups must affect larger groups, and ultimately the largest group of all, which is all humankind, for there to be permanent and significant change on your planet. Your world and the condition it is in is a reflection of the total combined consciousness of everyone living there. As you can see by looking around you, much work is left to be done, unless, of course, you are satisfied with your world as it is. Surprisingly, most people are. That is why the world does not change. Most people are satisfied with a world in which differences, not similarities, are honored, and disagreements are settled by conflict and war. Most people are satisfied with a world in which survival is for the fittest, might is right, competition is required, and winning is called the highest good. If such a system happens also to produce losers, so be it, so long as you are not among them. Most people are satisfied, even though such a model produces people who are often killed when they are judged wrong, starved and rendered homeless when they are losers, oppressed and exploited when they are not strong. Most people define wrong as that which is different from them. Religious differences in particular are not tolerated, nor are many social, economic, or cultural differences. Exploitation of the underclass is justified by the self-congratulatory pronouncements from the upper class of how much better off their victims are now than they were before these exploitations. By this measure, the upper class can ignore the issue of how all people ought to be treated if one were being truly fair, rather than merely making a horrible situation a tiny bit better and profiting obscenely in the bargain. Most people laugh when one suggests any kind of system other than the one currently in place, saying that behaviors such as competing and killing and the victor taking the spoils are what makes this civilization great. Most people even think there is no other natural way to be, that it is the nature of humans to behave in this manner, and that to act any other way would kill the inner spirit that drives man to succeed. No one asks the question, succeed at what? Difficult as it is for truly enlightened beings to understand, most people on your planet believe in this philosophy, and that is why most people don't care about the suffering masses, the oppression of minorities, the anger of the underclass, or the survival needs of anyone but themselves and their immediate families. Most people do not see that they are destroying their Earth, the very planet which gives them life, because their actions seek only to enhance their quality of life. Amazingly, they are not far-sighted enough to observe that short-term gains can produce long-term losses, and often do, and will. Most people are threatened by group consciousness, a concept such as the collective good, a one-world overview, or a God who exists in unity with all creation rather than separate from it. This fear of anything leading to unification, and your planet's glorification of all that separates, produce division, disharmony, discord. Yet you do not seem to have the ability even to learn from your own experience, and so you continue your behaviors with the same results. The inability to experience the suffering of another as one's own is what allows such suffering to continue. Separation breeds indifference, false superiority. Unity produces compassion, genuine equality. The events which occur on your planet, which have occurred regularly for 3,000 years, are, as I've said, a reflection of the collective consciousness of your group, the whole group on your planet. That level of consciousness could best be described as primitive.
Yes. But we seem to have digressed here from the original question.
Not really. You asked about Hitler. The Hitler experience was made possible as a result of group consciousness. Many people want to say that Hitler manipulated a group, in this case his countrymen, through the cunning and the mastery of his rhetoric. But this conveniently lays all the blame at Hitler's feet, which is exactly where the mass of people want it. But Hitler could do nothing without the cooperation and support and willing submission of millions of people. The subgroup, which called itself Germans, must assume an enormous burden of responsibility for the Holocaust, as must to some degree the larger group called humans, which, if it did nothing else, allowed itself to remain indifferent and apathetic to the suffering in Germany until it reached so massive a scale that even the most cold-hearted isolationists could no longer ignore it. You see, it was collective consciousness which provided fertile soil for the growth of the Nazi movement. Hitler seized the moment, but he did not create it. It's important to understand the lesson here. A group consciousness, which speaks constantly of separation and superiority, produces loss of compassion on a massive scale, and loss of compassion is inevitably followed by loss of conscience. A collective concept rooted in strict nationalism ignores the plights of others, yet makes everyone else responsible for yours, thus justifying retaliation, rectification, and war. Auschwitz was the Nazi solution to an attempt to rectify the Jewish problem. The horror of the Hitler experience was not that he perpetrated it on the human race, but that the human race allowed him to. The astonishment is not only that a Hitler came along, but also that so many others went along. The shame is not only that Hitler killed millions of Jews, but also that millions of Jews had to be killed before Hitler was stopped. The purpose of the Hitler experience was to show humanity to itself. Throughout history, you have had remarkable teachers, each presenting extraordinary opportunities to remember who you really are. These teachers have shown you the highest and the lowest of the human potential. They have presented vivid, breathtaking examples of what it can mean to be human, of where one can go with the experience, of where the lot of you can and will go given your consciousness. The thing to remember, consciousness is everything and creates your experience. Group consciousness is powerful and produces outcomes of unspeakable beauty or ugliness. The choice is always yours. If you are not satisfied with the consciousness of your group, seek to change it. The best way to change the consciousness of others is by your example. If your example is not enough, form your own group. You be the source of the consciousness you wish others to experience. They will when you do. It begins with you. Everything. All things. You want the world to change? Change things in your own world. Hitler gave you a golden opportunity to do that. The Hitler experience, like the Christ experience, is profound in its implications and the truths it revealed to you about you. Yet those larger awarenesses live, in the case of Hitler or Buddha, Genghis Khan or Hare Krishna, Attila the Hun or Jesus the Christ, only so long as your memories of them live. That is why Jews build monuments to the Holocaust and ask you never to forget it, for there is a little bit of Hitler in all of you, and it is only a matter of degree. Wiping out a people is wiping out a people, whether at Auschwitz or Wounded Knee.